All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete on October 1st as part of Bellator 286. A very intriguing main card featherweight bout going on between Aaron Pico and Jeremy Kennedy, and always good getting to talk to Jeremy ahead of these big fights. How's everything going just a few days out from the fight here, man?
Yeah, everything's going good, man. I had like the best camp I could possibly have had, with the last one falling out and getting the same fight rebooked. I kind of just picked up where I left off. But yeah, now we're right down at the nitty gritty. It's all weight cut and fight focus now.
Yeah, and I would think that would be trying on a couple levels just because you had that, fractured orbital that led to the bout being called off and everything, and just, trying to be physically and mentally prepared for that, probably deflating at the time. So, yeah, it seems like what you're saying, like you were maybe relieved that the matchup still kind of like maintained itself and still stayed locked in, albeit just at a later date.
Yeah, like it's definitely a tough matchup. I think Aaron's one of the better guys in the whole division. But with that, it's such a big opportunity and reward, like there's a lot of eyes on this fight. A lot of people are interested in it, and, you can't help but think the title shot's looming with the winner.
Oh, yeah, there's so many amazing stakes for this, for sure, just in the, title hierarchy and everything, as you said there. But I guess I'm kind of curious about, like, how the road, recovering looked like with the last one there. Like, what did recuperating that orbital kind of look like? Like, how long did that all take?
Honestly, man, it was like it was fractures, right? So, and with the face, like, there's no surgery, there's nothing required there. I had to take some time off from contact, which, when a fight falls through and you don't have one scheduled, it's not very necessary anyways to be, sparring and taking impact. So I stayed fit. I was, stayed running, drilling. I got to grappling pretty soon after, and I was cleared about 6 weeks later. I got a re-imaging, and it was all cleared up and good to go. So I've been, training hard, full bore since the summer.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear for sure, man. And you were talking about just like the stakes in this fight, just kind of, really looking in a lot of regards like a title eliminator. Obviously, you're squarely focused on this one, but it must be cool to, see that with like the featherweight title fight at the top with, Patricio Pitbull and Adam Borics. Just kind of almost underscores that perception even further. Like, as much as, like I said, you're very focused on your own fight, is there a certain almost peripheral awareness of the title fight happening here?
Yeah, I think in everyone's eyes, like even Pico and even Borics and Pitbull are going to be, I'm sure, watching with a close eye, knowing that the winner of our fight is probably who they're going to see next. The way it's set up, the way it's lined up, it just seems like that's kind of even what Bellator wants. Placing the card this fight where it is, and what better way to stake a claim than to get a huge win right before that title fight.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, it makes a world of sense just with, your opponent being in the number 3 slot there and you're at number 7 and everything like that. So yeah, great fight. And you've, historically struck me as a guy that like really, studies the field, as was, the case in some of your previous Bellator fights. I would think you're acutely aware of Aaron Pico leading into this and everything like that. I would think the, excitement would be pretty high. It seems like he's, not only like a talented, higher ranked kind of fighter, but also someone who gets like a fair bit of spotlight from Bellator. So I would think on a few levels, this is a good one for you.
Exactly, man. Like, that's why this is such an exciting matchup for me. I get to test myself, and really a fight I know I can win and shock a lot of people. I think a lot of people are writing me off, and that's perfect, right where I want to be. Number 7 fighting number 3. I think I was 8 fighting 2 and 9 fighting 4 when I fought Sanchez. So Bellator keeps giving me these great matchups, and I just it's my time to deliver.
It's kind of interesting you'd say there's almost people still sleeping on you. I would think that, coming off of like such a big victory over Emmanuel Sanchez and just the comprehensive nature of the performance, I would think that maybe there's certain people who see a bit more parity in this fight. But I guess you can't control what people think. Does that kind of add anything to what you're doing? Like almost like a chip on the shoulder kind of dynamic, or you're kind of just like, whatever, like is what it is?
Nah, yeah, it's, that means nothing when the cage door closes and everyone has an opinion after the fight, and after this fight I get this win, they're going to be talking about how, it shouldn't have been the way they were thinking. They change their minds very easily, very quickly, and I can't really focus on what the experts, I should say, think, So it's, once we're in there, that's all that really matters, and once we get our hands on each other and I get my arm raised.
Yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing one in a lot of regards, but I guess speaking to other sort of featherweight kind of relevant fights on the card, even though it's a 155-pound fight, like, what do you make of, AJ McKee fighting Spike Carlisle? Like, he's still ranked number 1 in the featherweight category. Like, do you almost think this is a one-off kind of thing, or is that kind of within the peripheral awareness, just being that he's like the former champion, or maybe not so much because it's, a lightweight bout?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard with that, especially if you get a Pitbull win and an AJ win, and they start talking to each other and whatever. You can never control what the big head boss Bellator wants. All I can really focus on is putting myself in the best position, and that's getting a huge win over Pico here. And I think that alone, that holds the most weight and warrant, over a win over Spike up a weight class. But again, that's out of my control. I just have to focus on getting this done on Saturday, and then sitting down with my manager and figuring it out, and campaigning and seeing what we can do, what we can come up with.
And I'm curious, because when we were talking before that Emmanuel Sanchez fight that I mentioned a bit ago, you were getting in some work out in Vegas there with Islam Makhachev. Have you been able to work with him ahead of this fight? He's obviously got a very big fight, coming up in his own regard, the Charles Oliveira fight for the lightweight world title. Have you been getting in that work with Makhachev ahead of this particular fight?
No, unfortunately, that whole crew, they were just in town for just at the Apex and whatnot, because like during the whole COVID, and California still wasn't quite around. But I think he spent this whole last camp, I think he's still over in Russia, since his fights in Abu Dhabi on that side. Typically, they only come over here when they're fighting stateside. So I didn't get much work with him this time around.
Well, that's fair, but I mean, no end to the great work had at Extreme Couture and everything like that, and Eddie Baracco holding things down there, and just it seems like you have a myriad of great partners around the world that come through and get in that good work, and also like localized Vegas individuals. Yeah, one of the more renowned gyms for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly, and it's like constantly evolving. We always got guys coming in constantly, so no shortage of bodies there.
But it looks like, from what I could tell, you got out to Langley there towards like the end of April-ish at Revolution MMA. It looks like you got your black belt from Bibiano Fernandez. Can you speak to what that moment meant for you in your broader martial arts journey?
Yeah, man, like that was just more of a... Jiu-Jitsu is where I started, and then in between fights, I'm still always throwing on the gi, and obviously the focus is no gi because of, the MMA dynamic, but... It's been very cool. Like that was more of a cool chapter to kind of cap off, which still begun. Which is still just starting as a black belt now. It's just a lifelong accomplishment. When I first started, before I even thought about fighting MMA, I was in the gi as a kid, and so having that black belt was super special.
Yeah, well, glad that moment happened. A lot of hard work put in, obviously, but that's interesting and probably accurate, like the fact that you're kind of, going with that mindset now of like, you're almost in the continuum of like black belts now. Like I would feel like there's almost like final boss caliber black belts and stuff like that.
There's black belts, then there's black belts, so it's exciting to constantly keep improving and getting better. And even once my fighting career is done, I still see myself competing in jiu-jitsu and rolling in the gi until I can't walk anymore.
So would the competition then be mostly no gi, or you're saying you also would like to do some sort of gi competition as well down the line?
Once it's all said and done, and I'm done fighting my body, and I'm a bit older, I'm definitely going to be competing in jiu-jitsu and gi, no gi, whatever. It's just in my nature to always be trying to challenge myself.
Yeah, I love that dynamic, and just to that point of testing yourself and just being adequately prepared for these different tests. It seemed like in the last fight you were pretty meticulous about kind of curating the sparring partner dynamic a bit. Like, it seemed like you had a good group of guys to kind of mirror the stylistic proclivities of Emmanuel Sanchez. Do you have like a similar kind of, curation of everything in this camp for, your opponent, and just, like, people like have similar body types, mirroring of skill sets and everything like that to Aaron Pico that you've been working with for this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit harder with Pico just because he's so dangerous on the feet and with his wrestling threat that I just had lots of good boxers, good striking, and a lot of good, raw wrestlers, college wrestlers, guys, Div 1, people pushing me in both aspects. And he's also, I'm not underestimating his gas tank. Like, Pico, he's good for a reason. He's disciplined, he's good everywhere, and he's got a gas tank. So I had to make sure that I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I had to make sure I can match a pace and keep a pace for 15 minutes and be able to wrestle with the best and strike with the best.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because, as you mentioned there, like, very much focusing on like his, methodology as a pressure fighter and stuff like that. And I mean, as much as some of like the outsiders, like layman perspective, kind of looking at the situation, it seems like maybe he's tempered his game a little bit more relative to some of his like first few fights there. But it seems like at the same time, you're kind of looking at it as like, almost like a bull versus matador kind of dynamic, whereby you can exploit those certain openings that you'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of in his DNA for that aggression and that pressure fighter. That I know he's slowed things down, but at the same time, he's still that same fighter, and that's in him, and that's what makes him him. So I'm prepared for everything, and I'm excited, man. I'm really, really excited about this fight just because of exactly the caliber of opponent, and it's just going to be nice to have all these eyes on me and show everyone what I'm capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I'm curious, I guess, just because we're in such close proximity to the fight. Like, obviously, you have your given like media obligations you have to do and stuff like that. But like, what do you generally do during a fight week? Like, do you have a certain methodology you kind of go with, or anything like that? I would think that maybe it's a little bit different now. Like, maybe you're not isolated to the hotel like a complete COVID kind of minded sort of thing. So do you have like a bit more autonomy this fight week, you'd say?
Honestly, man, I was okay with the COVID thing. It's nice
Yeah.
having the option to move around and stuff, but my fight weeks are pretty low key. The energy levels are so low, when your diet's so deficited and you're focusing on that weight mostly just these last 2 days, like today and tomorrow, leading into the big cut, you don't have the most energy anyways, so it's more of protocol stuff, the media you got to do, the photo shoots and whatnot. But for the most part, I'm just kind of hanging out. Like right now, I'm laying in my hotel room, relaxing. Trained. Yeah, since it's a local fight, like from Vegas to LA, I was able to fly in pretty late last night, so I had a whole day yesterday training and running around and getting my hair cut and got a swim in, pad work, mitt work, whatever, so that I was able to fly here, just go to bed, wake up, and today's kind of the rest day. I got a workout in tonight, get a good sweat, my team gets in, and get the flush out, and then tomorrow is more of really the weight cut. I'll do a little one in the morning, some more media stuff, and then I like to cut the night before. So I'm on by right on 9 a.m., So today's a little bit more relaxed, some media. You're kind of actually killing some time, which is nice. And then got a workout tonight, and then that's it.
Yeah, it seems like you have everything down to like a very exact science now. Quite the road from when you were mucking like the JBCs back in the old days.
Oh, exactly, man. That's long gone now. Now it's tuna and avocado and some low carb anything, and water, lots of water for these next few days here. And then then I've just kind of got it down to a science. I know how I like to cut. I know what I like to do, when to give my body rest, and so it's just with 30 fights, it's trial and error, and you get what you like, and you stick to what you like, and add new things and throw them away if you don't like them, and Yeah, it's just a pretty smooth process now. I'm enjoying this process probably the most out of any fight week, just because of just maturity as well. You know, like I used to just be so nervous and dread, like, you know, just laying around and thinking about the fight. And now this one, I'm kind of just enjoying the process, man, and excited because of the preparation I've already put in, and my body is ready, you know, so I'm ready, and I'm just, if I could fast forward, that's what I would do, and just get in that cage and mix it up.
Yeah, I think that's a shared sentiment among the Bellator MMA fans. They're going to be checking out this one here, but, you know, just to the earlier point of wanting to be mindful of your time and schedule, man, is there maybe anything you might want to add as like a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here?
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you being courteous of my time, and obviously knowing where I'm at in camp, and yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no worries. I really appreciate you coming on the show and being able to make this happen in such close proximity to the fight. Looking forward to peeping Bellator 286 on October 1st, and yeah, should be a good one there with Aaron Pico. But yeah, you know, to reiterate, appreciate you coming on and everything. Always good getting the insights there, man. You have a good rest of your day, and looking forward to checking out the fight in a little bit.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Have a good one.